All right, hello everyone. Welcome to our first Alpha Phi Eats. Tonight's event is going to be hosted by College Fresh, and we are joined by Megan and Sam. I am Bridget Conrady, the manager of events at Alpha Phi International, and we are very, very excited to have you on our first Alpha Phi Eats.
All right. Hi, everybody. Very nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you for that introduction, Bridget. My name's Sam. I am actually the regional manager for College Fresh in Indiana, so I oversee all of our operations here. But before I was the regional manager and a campus manager before that, I spent my time as a chef with College Fresh at Alpha Phi at IU. So I'm so excited to join everybody tonight. We are College Fresh. What we do is food service for fraternities and sororities in a collegiate setting. I've worked for this company for almost 6 years now, and it's a joy as a chef. It's a joy to work with the members, and with that, I've so treasured my time working with Alpha Phi here and with other chapters now across Indiana. So what we have tonight is a recipe that was one of the favorites when I was the chef at Alpha Phi at IU. It's going to be a good one. Before I get too much into the recipe, though, I do want to let everybody know, normally when we're in a kitchen setting, I would be wearing a mask right now. However, for the ease of everybody to hear me, we thought it would be best to just take it off. So I do want everybody to know that normally when we're operating in kitchens, we are masked up and doing all of the necessary PPE. But since we're virtual, you guys get to see me, get to see my face, and we don't have to wear a mask tonight. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about the menu. This was one of the favorites. This was one of the meals that was requested on the menu just about every other week. It's super fun. It's a really easy recipe. And I love this recipe too because there's a lot of shortcuts that you can take with some store-bought stuff if you're running low on time, running low on energy, or just don't feel like doing it. So we're gonna do a bruschetta chicken breast tonight. So sounds fancy, but it's not too bad. And we're gonna do a balsamic drizzle on top of that. Served alongside it, we are going to do some really fun, and it's very trendy now. We've got some zucchini noodles. We're gonna saute those off. We're also gonna serve it with a crispy, smashed new potato. So I call those new potatoes. Really, if you guys can see those there, these are just the really small potatoes. Get anything like that, and that will work absolutely with what we're gonna do. This one is also really fun if you have kids at home because you can get them involved with the cooking process with those potatoes. So that's it. It's really a 3-component meal that sounds really fancy. It looks really good on the plate, but it's pretty much a cinch to make. So I know that we talked already about some of the do ahead stuff. I know there was some communication that went out about that. I want to talk just a little bit about that too, just to hit home some points about what you can get away with just buying at the store. So the zucchini noodles that I showed everybody earlier, you can absolutely get those in the produce section at the store. We're gonna make them later. I'm gonna show you this handy little tool that we have to make zucchini noodles, but you can totally buy them if you don't feel like buying the special tool and putting it in the drawer at home and having one more thing that you have to, move around when you're trying to find the potato peeler. So that's one thing. If you want to buy the already made zucchini noodles, it has the chef's blessing. They're just the same as if you make them at home. So the other thing that you can totally make homemade, or you can buy it at the store, is going to be the balsamic drizzle. If you can see that. So this is some balsamic drizzle that I made, and it's really simple. All you're doing is putting some balsamic vinegar in a little sauce pot. I would say probably for a cup of balsamic vinegar, you're probably going to use a 1/4 cup of sugar in there too. Put that on really low heat on your oven, on top of your stovetop, and reduce it down. It takes a while. It takes about ½ hour, 45 minutes, maybe up to an hour. The other thing you can do If you don't feel like reducing down that balsamic vinegar and waiting for it, go to the vinegar section in your grocery store. When you look at the big section of vinegar, you'll oftentimes see something called balsamic glaze. It's the same as this. Same thing. And it comes with a really nice flip top, and it lets you drizzle it on there. So, and again, guys, it tastes just the same. There's not going to be a whole lot of difference in what I made here earlier today, what you're going to buy at the store. So the other thing, if you are walking through this recipe with us live as we go, is parboiling, if you're familiar with that term, the little new potatoes, right? So these guys here, I'm going to cut one open and show you. So you'll see here how easy my knife goes through this, just like that. That's because I actually stuck these, oh, see, it broke right up on me. That's how soft they are. I stuck these in some boiling water, just like you're gonna make mashed potatoes. Don't need to peel them, don't need to salt the water or anything. I boiled these off until they were soft to the touch, and you could get a knife or a fork through them really easily. Another trick you can do though, with these potatoes, if you don't want to heat up a pot of water, if you don't want to get it boiling, dirty another pot, you can absolutely cook these off until they're soft in the microwave. That is totally fine if you want to do that. So it's just like cooking a baked potato in the microwave, right? I would press that potato button once, see if they're soft after that. And if they're not soft, just hit the potato button again and do it until they're soft. So those are kind of the do-ahead things that we've already got going for this recipe. So with that, I am ready to start cooking. If you guys are ready to start cooking. Everybody ready? Cool. All right. The funny thing is I can't actually see your screen right now, so I don't know what everybody looks like. All right. Get my gloves on here, guys. We are big on gloves in kitchens, and I just cannot break myself of that habit, so we are going to go ahead and do that. So the first thing that I want to do is make the bruschetta. And if you haven't made bruschetta before, fancy word, but it's really not that complicated to make. What I have here are some Roma tomatoes. So these are the Romas. Now, I really like Romas for these because they're a fleshier, meatier tomato. You know, think about a tomato that you put on a BLT. It's got a lot of water in it, a lot of seeds in it. Again, don't really want that for a bruschetta. We're lucky right now. We're just at the tail end of summer, which is when these Romas are just absolutely flavorful and delicious. So we're just going to start off here by dicing up these tomatoes. So let me dice them with you. And we'll get going. You know, one thing that we preach a lot in kitchens when we're training chefs is that timing is everything. And that really plays into what we're doing here too with making the bruschetta first. So I do want to make this bruschetta first because I want it to sit and I want it to have time to have the flavors to marry before we top our chicken with it. So we're doing this first. So this has time to sit. It has time for the basil to permeate the tomatoes, for the garlic to do its thing, for the salt to draw out some of the moisture of these tomatoes. It's going to be really good. So I'm going to keep chopping these tomatoes here. You guys, with tomatoes, I recommend having a really sharp knife. It's going to make your life a lot easier if you have a sharp knife. And if you don't have a good sharp chef knife, get out a serrated knife. A serrated knife, if you have a little serrated paring knife, that will work too. But if you've got a dull knife and a ripe tomato, you're going to have a hard time. So I don't know if I'm going to do all these tomatoes here. And the nice thing about this, oh my gosh, I wish you guys could smell these. This is Perfect. It is just peak tomato season right now for these aromas. So the nice thing about this recipe too, again, I'm using the term recipe pretty loosely here. This is a method. Scale it up. You know, we're going to cook right now for one portion. Scale it up, scale it down, make it for your whole family. You should easily be able to get it where you need it to go. All right, so I diced up 3 of those tomatoes there. Can you guys see that? It's not super tiny. We don't need them to be minuscule, but we've got them in pretty good sizes. Something, what chefs always think about when you're chopping something, when you're dicing something, is the end result, right? So we don't want a big, huge tomato chunk on top of a chicken that you're trying to chew into. So that's your base here for the bruschetta. That's going to be your tomatoes first thing. So I did go ahead and take the liberty of dicing up some of this red onion first. It's not a rule, it's not a law. You don't have to use a red onion. You can use a white onion. I happen to prefer the red onion, so that's what I went for. Now I do want you guys to see how small of a dice that is. You guys see that? Okay, so I really like anything that has diced tomato. If we're doing a bruschetta, if we're making pico de gallo, if we're doing Mexican food, I like a really fine dice because, again, think about it when you're eating it. I personally don't want to bite into a giant chunk of onion. You know, I would rather have that onion be teeny tiny and kind of disperse through the whole thing. So that's what chefs are thinking when we're making stuff like this. So we're going to add that red onion here to our tomato. I'm going to do a little bit. Chopped a little more than I needed, guys. That's okay. All right, we got our tomato, we've got our onion, and next we're going to add our basil because good fresh summer basil is really what makes bruschetta bruschetta. So if you're a home cook and really want to impress your friends, tell them that you are going to chiffonade the basil for them. And chiffonade is a really fancy French word that means ribbon, right? But it's super easy to do. So all I've done here is take these basil leaves and stack them up. Okay, so that's step 1. Next, I'm going to roll them up really tightly. So I just stacked them together. We're going to roll them. Okay, you guys see how those are rolled like that? Okay, so now I'm going to put it on the cutting board. This does take a little tricky work here. You're going to try to keep it rolled while it's on the cutting board. And we're going to make little ribbons. Take your knife across. Again, guys, I can't preach enough how important it is to have a good sharp knife. If you've got a dull knife and trying to do this, you're just going to tear this basil up and you're not going to get good clean slices. So again, this technique is called chiffonade. So it sounds fancy. It just means that you're rolling the basil up and cutting it into little ribbons. So here, that's about what we're looking at right there. Little ribbons. Now, I like basil a lot. I really like basil. If you don't like basil as much or you have somebody cooking at home, you can add less. That's fine. Do it to your liking. What I'm going to do after I mix the basil in here is I'm going to taste it. Don't be afraid to taste as you go. That is something that chefs do all the time. We taste, we taste, we taste as we go. So I'm going to grab, this is another bit of a chef trick here. A lot of times we'll just mix together salt and pepper. So I don't like a ton of pepper in my salt and pepper mix, but that way you get a little bit of both. We keep that around. And tomatoes love salt. Don't be afraid of salt. So do some salt and pepper. We're also going to get some of this olive oil in there. It's going to be really important. Let's get some olive oil in there. We're going to mix that up. And it's just pretty. Bruschetta is so pretty. Use the red onion. I also, what I like to do for a little bit of sweetness, I'm just going to add a little bit of this balsamic drizzle here. Right to the bruschetta. Okay. Mix that up. You can use a spoon. I like to use my hands because I've got gloves on. All right, let's take a look at what this looks like all mixed together. All right, you guys see that? Okay, that's what my bruschetta is looking like right now. And again, we taste. So I'm gonna grab my spoon, take a taste of this, see what it needs. See if we need more salt, need more balsamic vinegar, any more olive oil. Let's give it a little taste. I forgot the garlic, and I wouldn't have recognized that if I didn't taste it. So let's add the garlic. See, chefs make mistakes all the time too, guys. It happens, and that's why we taste. So before we serve it, we can catch those mistakes before we give it to any of our guests. So garlic, I love garlic. I'm gonna start with 1 clove. We're gonna see where that gets us. I'm sure you're probably familiar with this technique, but we're just gonna put this garlic down on the cutting board right here. I'm gonna put my knife on top of it. I'm gonna smash it. So, all right. I smashed it, and then the paper just peeled right off. And what we're left with is just that little garlic bit right there. Let me run my knife through this. With garlic, sometimes less is more, sometimes more is more. A lot of your garlic flavor is going to depend on how fresh that head of garlic is. So that's another thing where you just got to taste it, figure out what works, what doesn't. And the garlic, just like the onion, we're going to want this extremely finely diced. Because again, think about it. This is going to go on top of a chicken breast. And if you don't want to bite into a big chunk of garlic when you're eating it, you're going to need to chop it really, really fine. If you have a food processor, that's fine. Keep a little tiny food processor and do garlic in it all the time. Let me see if I can show this to you guys here. All right. Can you see how teeny tiny that is? Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. That's what we're looking for the garlic. Let's get that in there. Let's try again. My garlic and my bruschetta. There we go. Now it's starting to smell right. Okay, let's take another taste. That's it. I knew there was something missing. I'm going to do a little more balsamic drizzle. Just because more will go on top of there too. Grab another spoon. All right. Okay, so that's the bruschetta. Before we move on to searing off and cooking off the chicken breast, anybody have any questions about the bruschetta? I know the chat box is open. Feel free to chime into that chat box if you have any questions. I've got Megan here behind the camera, and she'll let me know if anybody needs a pause. All right, so bruschetta is done. It is good now. It's going to be even better if it sits. You can make this a day ahead if you want to as well. And if there's extras, it's great on some old bread. Put it on a baguette. It's awesome. So let's just put that aside for now. It's gonna get happy. That basil's gonna do its thing. The garlic's gonna do its thing. The salt's gonna draw out some moisture from those tomatoes, and that's gonna be awesome too, because we'll be able to separate some of that liquid out. So that being said, let's go ahead and get to our chicken breast. So we're gonna go over here. There we are. Go over here. And I'm gonna show you how chefs like to do chicken breast. So raw chicken, you know, it's raw chicken. You guys all know the chicken breast. Get the chicken breast there. One thing that I preach to a lot of other chefs when we're doing training, sear your chicken breast off before you finish it in the oven. You can just put this in the oven and bake it off as is, but I really like to just take just 3 or 4 minutes and sear it off in a good pan first. I've got a non-stick pan here. I would recommend a non-stick pan for this too. If you sear it off, you're gonna get some really good color on there that you just don't get if you put it right in the oven. Or if you want to grill it, if it's still warm enough to grill outside, you can absolutely grill it too. So I'm gonna heat this pan up and get it hot, hot, hot. So this here, guys, is just olive oil. It probably looks fancy in this squeeze bottle here, but it's just some plain old olive oil. And I'm gonna get it down in the pan. So if you can see, there's quite a bit there. So I've got this cranked up on a high heat. A lot of home cooks are afraid of that high heat, the high flame, the high burner. I get it. Sometimes the house gets smoky. And if you don't have a good exhaust vent like we have in a commercial kitchen, that can be a pretty loud prospect. So I'm just going to get this chicken breast down in here in the bottom of the pan. Be careful. The oil may splatter. All right. Okay, I'm going to get close to it so you can hear it sizzle, okay? All right, everybody hear the sizzle? All right, that's what we're looking for. I know it seems a little scary because it's just sizzling away. You can go watch it burning. It's not, I promise. Just sit there and leave it alone. The hardest part of cooking is knowing when to leave things alone. And right now, we're just going to leave that chicken breast alone. We're not going to move it around too much. We're not going to mess with it. I'm going to grab my pan that I'm going to cook the chicken breast on. This is basically, you know, we call this a sheet pan in commercial kitchens. It's basically just a cookie sheet. This is probably what you have sitting in your cupboard at home. And that'll be fine. One thing that I'm doing with this chicken here, you'll notice when I showed you the raw piece of chicken, it's just got a little bit of salt and pepper on it. I don't want to over season this chicken because that bruschetta has so much flavor. So the bruschetta is going to add a ton of flavor, and I don't want to overpower it with putting too much to this chicken breast. So let's take a little bit more. And it's still sizzling. Sizzling away. And we only need to sear one side of this. When I think about color on a chicken, I'm thinking about presentation. So we don't need to sear it off on both sides. I just like to do it sear on one side so it has really good color on it. I mean, how many times have you just stuck a chicken breast in the oven and it comes out kind of pale and it's got that weird liquid kind of sitting around it, and it's just not, doesn't look super appetizing. But I promise you, during eating one more dish, it's going to be so worth it. Oh, guys, look at this. Yep. All right. Okay, you guys see that? So that took what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? We're still going to finish this in that 350-degree oven. 350? Yep, 375-degree oven. Honestly, guys, I'm going to tell you a secret. Doesn't really matter. 350, 375, it'll get cooked. So all it took was an extra 2 to 3 minutes just to get that beautiful color on there. And we're just going to let it cook the rest of the way in the oven. So good color, good finish in the oven. That took out a lot of that liquid that sometimes pools up around the chicken breast. So let's just go ahead and throw this in the oven and we'll let it do its thing. It'll keep cooking. So the next thing we're going to do is hop back over here to my station over here. We're going to talk about the crispy smashed new potatoes. Again, guys, I told you this sounds like the fanciest meal ever, but I promise you it's super easy to make. So what I've got here, again, this is another cookie sheet here, another sheet pan. This one, we want the potatoes to get contact right with the metal. So don't use a sill pad or don't use any parchment paper. We're going to cook right here, right on the sheet pan. So what you're going to do, you're going to get your oil down here. And I've just kind of drizzled it all over. You guys see that? Is that easy to see there? So I want some on the bottom because basically what we're going to do is we're going to arrange these potatoes on the sheet pan. And then this is where you can get the kids involved. If you have kids at home, you want to get somebody else involved, this is the fun part. So we're just going to dump this on top. I want to do a little more oil. Just a little more. We're going to roll them around so everybody's coated. Roll them around. Again, a little more salt and pepper. Again, don't be afraid of the salt. If you want to get adventurous here and do like a Cajun blackened seasoning mix that you have, if you want to do something else, your other favorite spice blend, some paprika, you can do it. So I'm rolling around here. And then, since we cook these potatoes off ahead of time, all we're going to do is hit them until they pop. So it's super fun. You guys see how that's popped like that? So we just want those smashed like that. You're going to do all of them. Just like that. Let me get this off this cutting board here. There we go. So we're just doing a pop. And I got these little potatoes. Honestly, they were on sale for $1.99 for a 1 pound bag. And they're so cute. There's purple potatoes, yellow potatoes, red potatoes. And even though this is just a simple roasted potato dish, it kind of jazzes it up for a weeknight. You know, I just love these purple potatoes. I think they're so cute. So let's smash. And we smash. And we smash. Smash that little guy. Smash that guy. Smash this. Smash this. All right. And I like them too because they're kind of rustic. I just don't love things that look too perfect. I think it's more fun. You know, life's not perfect. And neither are these potatoes. And I think that's kind of why I like them. You guys see that? So fun. The different colors too. I left these really kind of on the plain side tonight. After you smash them, they're going to go right in that hot oven next to the chicken breast. If you want to top these with cheese and some crumbled up bacon bits, I mean, that would be just a heck of a side dish too for something if you wanted to do that. I didn't want to overload us with cheese. I didn't want to overload us with flavor. We're going to get some cheese and that bruschetta for the chicken. So these we're just going to keep as really simple potatoes right now. So let's get these in the oven. And they're right alongside the chicken there. So the next thing we're going to do is work on our zoodles. So again, guys, seriously, here, I'll show you. These here, those are the ones I bought at the store. I wasn't sure if I could get a hold of a zoodler or a spiralizer, so I went ahead and bought them. They were $2.99, and there they are, the little zucchini noodles. Super fun, super healthy. It's a great way, I know, to get maybe some younger folks to eat vegetables who are a little on the iffy side. But I did want to show you a fun tool that I found too. if you want to make your own zucchini noodles. So I got this guy, again, we're not sponsored by anybody. I just found this at Target and I thought it was great. So this is the little, what they call the handheld spiralizer by OXO. So OXO is a great brand, kitchen people love it. And it's super easy to use. And it was $15.99. So all you do, sure, I know what's up here. Okay. So if you can see here, there's that kind of nubby piece sticking out in the middle there. You're just gonna center your zucchini on it and then twist. All right. Are my hands out of the way? Can you guys see that? Is that fun? You know, I don't know if I'd want to do this for 100 people, but if it's 4, I'd probably do this for 4 people. So I would say this is, you know, you might be able to get the older kids involved with this. You may just need to kind of watch them, because as you get down to the end of the zucchini, it gets pretty sharp. There's a blade in here. And now what they intend for you to do is use this as the top piece. I'll show you that too. I'm cheating because I thought it was easier to do it without it, but this sticks into the top there with those little grips. And it just spiralizes away. It's pretty fun. You can do this with potatoes too. This tool will work with potatoes, but you really got to give it some force to get them curly like that. So there is a little bit of waste at the end. You get that little guy at the end who just won't go. Chefs are a very waste not, want not crew. So what I do, that little nub that's in the end, just take my knife, chop it up, do a little like that, and then that's it. So those are our zucchini noodles. Here, I'll show you what they kind of look like in the pan. They're just fun. They're just really fun. So one thing to keep in mind if you've never worked with these zucchini noodles before is that it's zucchini, it's a vegetable. It's got a ton of water in it. Since there's so much water in it, I do not like to salt these until after I cook them. So what salt does to anything really is it draws out the moisture, right? It's doing that already with the tomatoes. You can see there's some more liquid there because that salt's pulling out the moisture. I want to get these good, I want to get these hot, and I want to get some color on them. And if the salt draws out too much moisture from these zucchini noodles, they're just going to steam rather than really saute. So that's what we're looking for. And I didn't put this in the recipe, but I'm going to throw some garlic in with these sauteed zucchini noodles. So let's, again, that was just the smash of the garlic. Smash, smash, smash. You know, I think half the reason that people get into cooking careers is they like playing with fire and they like being loud and they like breaking things. So we're just gonna chop this up. It doesn't have to be as fine of a dice. That's what we did for the bruschetta. Let's just get that. And I'm actually gonna put these aside and keep them separate from the zucchini noodles, because I don't want the garlic to burn. If I add it at the same time as the zucchini noodles, there's a chance that my garlic is going to burn before my zucchini noodles are cooked. And I don't really want that because burnt garlic does not taste that good. So I am going to pull a little bit of the magic of TV on you, okay? I have a chicken breast that's cooked off and ready. So if I were making this meal at home, I would have taken the time to spiralize all of these noodles, have all those ready to go. I would have waited, I would want to wait to top my chicken breast with the bruschetta until the chicken is fully cooked all the way through. So right now, what I would be doing at home is probably cleaning up a little bit, waiting for that chicken breast to cook. I'd have my zucchini noodles ready to go. I'd be taking a little pause, load and unload the dishwasher, you know, maybe doing a load of laundry. So you guys don't have to sit with me and wait for this entire chicken breast to cook. I do want to go ahead and pull one out that's already cooked and show you. We're lucky here because we have lots of ovens. So I do need to go to the fridge, guys, and grab one thing. So let me go to the fridge. I'm going to add one thing that's going to make this bruschetta chicken just fantastic and really stick together. I'll be right back. All right. Thanks for hanging with me. So one thing that we're going to add to this bruschetta is some grated Parmesan. So I want you guys to look at what that looks like. You see what that looks like? Now, you're really going to want to use this kind of grated Parmesan. As much as everybody has nostalgia for the stuff that is shelf stable and comes in the little granules, you really want this for this bruschetta. Trust me, the difference will be well worth it. So I'm going to add some of this right to the bruschetta. And the reason I'm doing that is because this will really help our bruschetta topping stick to the top of that chicken breast. So for my bowl about that size, it's about what I added. If you like cheese, by all means, cheese it up. You know, this recipe is great too, because if you have a kid, or if you have somebody in your life who is on the picky side, well, you're still making a chicken breast anyways. You've still got Parmesan cheese, and guess what? You can just put Parmesan cheese and melt that on top of their chicken breast. Then they don't have to deal with the icky tomatoes if they don't like tomatoes. So that's what that looks like all mixed together. Now, we've got this chicken breast that's cooked off. So again, nice sear on the chicken breast. I'm going to take this bruschetta topping. I like to mound it up on here. Oh, look how pretty that is. Mound it up. And then this guy here, see that all right? Okay, we're gonna put that back in the oven to heat up that bruschetta mix and melt that cheese. So again, magic of TV. I would do this with a chicken breast that's nearly all the way cooked. So let's swap these out. All right. So let's see where we are. We have our chicken cooked off. It has the bruschetta topping on it. The bruschetta and the cheese is going to melt around that chicken breast. Our potatoes are going to be almost done in that hot oven. Maybe take 15-20 minutes. If you like them extra crispy, then you can make them extra crispy too and leave them in there. That just leaves us with our zucchini noodles. So let's get to our zucchini noodles. This is what I would do last. These are quick. You would not believe how quick these zucchini noodles go. So again, I'm putting on gloves because it's just force of habit, and that's what we do in kitchens. So get these gloves on. Grab our zucchini noodles. Right, and I want my garlic, and I want my salt and pepper, and I want some lemon. So we're going to do a lemony zucchini noodle. So let's take all of this. We're going to go over to the stove top. Saute again. So again, guys, don't be afraid to get that pan hot. I love a non-stick skillet for zucchini noodles. It's going to be great. Now, I've got this little tiny pan over here. My biggest piece of advice with these zucchini noodles is don't overcrowd your pan. You're gonna want, if you're doing it for 3 people, for 4 people, you're gonna want a pretty big skillet. If you overcrowd it, again, what's gonna happen is all the steam that comes off of the zucchini noodles, it's just gonna get trapped and it's gonna steam them. They'll be kind of soggy rather than having that crisp punch that you like from the zucchini. So preheating your pan, that's something that every home cook should incorporate too into their repertoire. Heat this pan up, oh, it's hot. All right, so let's get our oil. I'm eyeballing it here, guys. I just like to get a little bit in the bottom of the pan. Heat that up, pan's hot. Okay, since I've got a teeny tiny little pan, I'm not gonna do a ton of zucchini noodles in here. And I'm not gonna salt it until it's done. There we go, in there, guys. All right, here's that sizzle here. Put my microphone up to the sizzle. Okay, let's move those around a little. Just going. Again, I just got that heat cranked. You're just letting them go for a minute. A lot of times when I'm doing stuff like this, whether I'm at work or I'm at home cooking, this is when I'm walking around and I'm wiping off stuff here, I'm wiping off stuff there, I'm washing off my cutting board. I'm always trying to reduce my cleaning time at the end of the meal. So these are the times that I clean as I go. Let's leave those there. Towel here. Oh yeah, these smell really good too. All right. Oh, all right. Here, look, guys. Can you see the color that's on those noodles? See that? That's what we're looking for. That's what I'm talking about with getting the pan hot, not overcrowding the pan, and not salting it before we cook it. We want that color so they're crispy. Not, I shouldn't say crispy. I mean that they still have some feeling to them when you eat them. Otherwise, you're just eating sauteed zucchini, and you might as well just cut it up and, you know, steamed it in the pan. So at this point here, now that we've got some of that color, I'm gonna add my garlic. Again, I didn't add it at the beginning because I didn't want that garlic to burn. We've already got that good color on there. Now I think it's time we can add our garlic. Now it smells really good. So you don't have to be fancy and flip it. If you want to use a spatula, you can use a spatula too. Oh, it smells good. All right, we're gonna give that just another couple seconds on the heat. Just another couple seconds. Okay, and now this is where I'm gonna hit it with the salt and pepper. So again, to taste, make it how you like it. Just a few healthy pinches there. Okay. Now, I love lemons. So I want to hit this with just a little bit of bright, fresh lemon juice at the end. And this is a lot of the reason why I wear gloves, because what I'm going to do, just squeeze it like this, and I'll take the seeds out with my fingers. If you have bottled lemon juice at home, totally fine. If you want to serve lemon wedges on the side and let people do their own lemon, that's fine too. I am just going to squeeze. It's not time. Just maybe a couple tablespoons. Okay. Oh yeah, that's garlic, lemon, zucchini. Woo, it's even hot. All right, guys, so while we finish this meal up, this pan is still hot. That's gonna keep these zucchini noodles hot. So I'm just gonna put these aside while we're checking on our chicken and while we're checking on our potatoes. So leave those aside. We're gonna get down here. I'm gonna look at this hot oven and see how our cheese is. See how our potatoes are. All right, potatoes are getting there. Okay, so I'm gonna pull another Magic of TV business on everybody. These are some potatoes that I did earlier today. Actually, just before we all hopped on this call. So these potatoes are just about what we're looking for. You guys see those? So look at that crispy, crunchy. I would eat that right now. And I love them because they look so rustic and so pretty. And oh, look at that. And that's really why you want them to have that air contact with those at the end, because that's the magic of these crispy smashed potatoes. You get the crispy on the outside, you get the nice fluffy potato on the inside. It's kind of like a twice baked potato, but without all the effort of cooking it and scooping it out and refilling it and putting it back in the oven. I'm not into all that. So I've got these ready to go. The ones that we put together in the oven just now, not quite ready yet. They've got maybe another 10 minutes. Now, if you were cooking this in real time with me, the potatoes would have had a little bit more time to go because you would still be waiting on that chicken breast. So that being said, though, I've got these potatoes. Our cheese is melted on the chicken, and I think we're ready to plate this meal up. So let's go ahead and plate it up. Here. Right, we grab the chicken. Oh, wow. All right. Oh, you can smell it, guys. Okay, you see how that cheese is just starting to melt there and it's bubbling? You see that? Doesn't it look good? Okay. Right, so let's plate this up. The first thing that I'm going to do is get the potatoes down. So we're going to arrange those. And again, guys, if you are into even more cheese, feel free to melt some Parmesan or some cheddar on top of these crispy smashed potatoes. See that? I just love them. I just think they're so much more interesting than just, you know, a plain old roasted red potato that you cut in quarters and roast. They're smashed, they're fun, and I like, these are the crispies that were on the bottom of the sheet pan. Can you hear that? Hear how crispy it is? I want those up there too. Those are tasty. So let's get those crispies down there. Next up, we're going to go for our zucchini noodles that I have stayed warm. A little bed there. Oh, so good. Oh, it smells good too, guys. I am hungry. Then we're gonna take the crowning glory here. Can you guys see the steam coming off of that? So take your chicken breast, and I like to nestle it right on top there. So it's sitting a little bit there on the potatoes, sitting on that zucchini, but we're not quite done yet. So you guys get a look at that there. Okay. Now, the last thing we're gonna do, take this balsamic drizzle, and we're gonna top the chicken with it just for a little bit of extra pop. So I just take a spoon, guys, and you see that motion that I'm making there? Make sure I'm on camera here, like that. So all I'm doing is dipping the spoon in that and just lightly flicking back and forth, if you can see my right hand. Just doing that. It's no big fancy thing. Don't have to have a fancy squeeze bottle. You just have to have a spoon. So let's get that rolling. Drizzle it right on top. Just going back and forth. I like to get a little on the plate too. A little on the plate. It's okay if some gets on the potatoes. It's okay if some gets on the zucchini. And then because chefs are perfectionists, I'm gonna wipe off the plate here. I like to wipe off the rim. That's what we do. Wipe off that. All right, and that is it. I think that this is a pretty fancy, pretty good looking plate for something that took us, oh gosh, we went about 40, 50 minutes together to make this plate together. I think you could easily make this at home. It's something that you could serve for a dinner party when we can have dinner parties again. This is something that even if you just wanted a fancy meal in the middle of the week for a pickup, there's plenty of shortcuts that you can take here, plenty of things that you can do store-bought, plenty of things that you can do ahead of time, so that way you're not stressing out on a weeknight about what to cook. So this is the meal that we've got together here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a joy to cook with you, to see you, and we do want to open it up to see if anybody has any questions about the recipe, if anybody has any questions about College Fresh or what we do. If you do have questions about College Fresh, you can find us on Facebook. We show a lot of these kind of plates on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all of the social media platforms. So I'd love to open it up if anybody has anything or has any questions, or in the chat box, either way.
We're just saying thank you. Looks delicious. Thank you.
I didn't
Hi
have
there.
questions, but I just wanted to say that looks so good. And like,
Awesome. Well, if you were close by, I would deliver some. Anybody else? If there's no questions, I won't take up any more if everybody.
They want to take pics and share it with us on social media too. We'd love to post.
Oh, sure. Megan, who's here filming me, just brought up a good point. If you make this at home, will you tag us on social media or send it to College Fresh on Facebook or Instagram? That would be great. We would love to see it if you make it at home.
All right. Well, if there are no further questions, I just want to take a minute to say thank you to Sam and Megan from College Fresh. This was super fun to watch. But we appreciate you taking the time tonight to share this recipe with us. And I hope everyone that attended really enjoyed tonight's event. We will be having an Alpha Phi Eats event every month through the rest of the school year. So more information can be found on alphaphi.org about that. But otherwise, I appreciate everybody for attending tonight.
So nice seeing all of you. Hopefully we'll cross paths soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having us.